Story, story, story. Once upon a time. Welcome. I want to tell you a story about an animal called Mr. Tortoise. Oh yes, oftentimes we hear stories about tortoise. A lot of naughty stories. Mr. Tortoise is popular. Yes. So today I'll be telling you another story about Mr. Tortoise. Now in my story, do you think he was naughty, clever, or very bad? Today's story features Mr. Tortoise, who lived in a very small village across town. One day, the king of the village called everyone, and he called all the animals, called all the human beings. In fact, he called everything that could breathe, and he called them to a meeting. And he said, "My people, there is something that has been going on in this village for a long time. We have a talking drum, as I know every one of you must have heard. Our drum has been talking and saving us for decades. It has always comforted us in times of trouble. But recently, our drum has refused to speak." The whole village went quiet and people began to shiver. Eh? Our talking drum no longer speaks. Everyone tapped the other person. What happened? What went wrong? All the animals were also looking sad, shocked, confused. And one of them, the ant, raised its hand and said, "O king, live forever. What happened to our talking drum? How are we going to save this situation? What will happen if our drum stops talking?" The king said, "I have been trying not to scare the village. I have called all my chiefs. We have spoken at length. If the talking drum does not talk, in the next 7 days, a very bad thing will happen. I don't know what it is, but I am sure it will happen. That is why I have called all of you. I need those of you who can beat drums, who can speak to drums. Help us make this drum talk again." Everybody began to wonder, hey, how are we going to make this drum talk? If the king, with all his authority, could not command the drum to start speaking, who are we? How do we manage? Well, a few volunteers began to come out and they said, "Oh king, don't worry, we will try." And one by one, they tried to beat the drum. It was a very beautiful drum, lined with beads and different ornaments, small gongs that could make it sound, and rattles that could add to the melody. They beat the drum. The first man came out and said, "Oh king, sir, let me try my best. I am a very good drummer. In fact, drumming runs in my family. I have my way with drums. Let me beat this drum. I am sure it is going to say something." This was how the first man came, took up the drum and started beating. But as he tried to beat, the drum would not utter a sound. Not even a boo. Not one sound. The second man came, tried his best. The same thing happened. Eventually, they had to close the meeting that day. And the king said, "In the next 3 days, we will be trying again.
All of you can beat the drum. Please, I beg you, come and try your best again. Our strong men, our animals, this is open to everybody. Please come.
Before they left the meeting that day, Mr. Tortoise, who was sitting on a small stone in one corner, watched the whole proceeding, and he wondered in his mind, talking drum. Ha! Who needs a talking drum? What's with the panic? Why are they all panicking because a drum would not speak? There are many ways to get to the market. Does he have to speak? Why not speak into it? But he could not utter his thoughts out, because if he did, the king would discipline him. Instead, Mr. Tortoise raised his hand and he said, "Oh king, I have a question. What will you give the person who makes the drum talk?" Everybody looked at Mr. Tortoise and said, Tortoise, you're concerned about the reward when the king just told us that there is impending doom. But the king said,
Let him speak. Mr. Tortoise, if you can save us and make this drum speak, I will give you a big bag full of cowrie shells. You will never be poor again.
when Tortoise heard this, he said, "Aha! King, now you are talking. Aha! This drum will speak. I will make it speak." And a lot of people burst into laughter. Hey, Tortoise, what greed will do to you? You want to volunteer to make the drum that has remained silent to speak because of cowrie shells. What greed will do to you? But he said, "Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. This drum will speak." And that was how the meeting ended, with everybody wondering what Mr. Tortoise had up his sleeves before volunteering to make the drum talk. Later that night, if you know Mr. Tortoise very well, you know he always has a game plan. Later that night, Mr. Tortoise went to the royal court. He snuck into the compound and he went to where they kept the drum. He went to bargain with the drum, to negotiate with it, to talk in exchange for a reward. So he went in. Tip, tap, tip, tap, tip, tap, and he got to where the drum was. Fortunately, there were no guards watching the drum. And so he walked up to the drum and said, "Drum, listen to me, oh, listen to me. In the next 3 days, I will beat you. And as soon as I touch your skin, I want you to shout, 'Mr. Tortoise is wise!' Do you hear me? I want you to say, 'Mr. Tortoise is wise!'" He repeated this many times for the drum. And he now added that if you say it, by the time they give me the cowrie shell, I will decorate you with 15 cowrie shells. You will be a very rich drum. Do you understand? The drum did not say anything, but Mr. Tortoise was confident in his skills. And he went back home and relaxed. The day came and everybody gathered. Some out of curiosity, not out of concern for the village, but because they wanted to see the kind of trick Tortoise would use to make the drum talk. because Tortoise could hardly beat anything. He could not even drum properly. He couldn't dance properly. He was not hardworking. He had no skills to boast of. So what would he do to make this drum talk? When everybody had assembled, the king called for the tortoise.
Tortoise, step forward. It is now your time to make this drum talk. Are you ready?
Mr. Tortoise said, ever ready. Ever ready, your highness. With that, he stepped up to the drum, held it. Even though his heart was doing boom, boom, boom. What if this drum refuses to cooperate? But he did not speak his thoughts out. So he went to the drum, held it, and held the stick. As they began to beat the drum, truly, the drum shouted, Mr. Tortoise is wise! Woo! Everybody went quiet. What just happened? Did we hear it well? Encouraged, Mr. Tortoise beat the drum again. Pum, 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 pum. The drum shouted again, Mr. Tortoise is wise! Huh? Even the king was surprised.
Mr. Tortoise, come forward. What did you do to this drum? Why is it shouting like this?
Mr. Tortoise could not explain. But at least he pretended like he did not know what happened. The king thought over this matter a while. He stroked his beard and he wondered, many great men have come here. This drum refused to say anything. How come it is Mr. Tortoise? And the drum is not even saying any other thing other than Mr. Tortoise is wise. I smell a rat. So the king said,
Mr. Tortoise, go back to the drum. Now ask it, who visited you at night?
Mr. Tortoise said, oh king, what did you say? The king said,
ask the drum, who visited you at night?
Hey! Mr. Tortoise did not know whether to run back to his house or to ask the drum that question, because he did not plan it. He did not think beyond the first thing. But of course, it's the king's decree. The tortoise could not refuse. So he went. And as he beat the drum, and he asked it, Drum, who visited you at night? The drum shouted in a loud voice, Mr. Tortoise! Drum, the king said I should ask you. Yes, the king go. The king said I should ask you. Who visited you at night? What do you think the drum said it? Mr. Tortoise! Hey! And that was how Mr. Tortoise was disgraced. And to add insult to his injury, the more he asked the drum, the more the drum continued to shout, Mr. Tortoise! He tried suggesting other animals, but the drum was insistent. Now the drum that had stopped talking finally found its voice and would not keep quiet. Mr. Tortoise! This is how Mr. Tortoise was embarrassed. And the king called him.
I said, Mr. Tortoise, why have you done such it? Are you indeed the wisest?
Mr. Tortoise was ashamed. And so, as a lesson, the wise king gave him a small drum instead of the cowrie shells. He gave him a small drum and said, go and practice with this drum.
When you know how to beat it very well and you become skilled, you will join the musicians in my palace and make merry. Then I will bless you with lots of money and you will be rich.
And that was how the whole thing ended. The drum had started talking. Mr. Tortoise, thinking he could fool everyone, he got a reward, but not the kind of reward he was expecting. Now, what do you think? Is Mr. Tortoise still clever? Of course he is. He's a trickster. He knows how to manage his ways. But he learned that day that it is good to be wise, but it's even better to be honest. This is where I'll stop my story. I hope you enjoyed it. Till the next time when I'll see you. Stay cool.